Broadcasting live to the world, the Kart Racing Network. Mike Jones is on pole position, sharing the front row with Juan Font. Scott Falcone is row 2 with Ariel Castro. Johanna Zolinto and Enrico Friso are the all-Venezuelan row 3. Jim Carey and David Zalengo are row 4. Here we go for 20 laps. Mike Jones from pole position should take the lead from here and does so, moving out immediately in front of Scott Falcone. Mike Jones, kart number 304. Scott Falcone 399. 3551 Font is the guy who's putting pressure on immediately at the start. And these two just pulling clear, which is Scott Falcone 399 and 304 race leader Mike Jones. Going up towards the ledge, or the ledges, dropping down now steadily, and Mike Jones still holding on to this advantage. Juan Font third. Ariel Castro has fallen right to the back. What has happened to Ariel Castro? Well, the driver who started on the second row is running last at the moment. Not quite sure what happened there. Well, that almost looked like Scott Falcone reaching into his back pocket, didn't it? Whatever it was, it's sorted, and the business in hand is tracking Mr. Mike Jones. Mike Jones driving an AM-engined Rotax in his CRG chassis. He's driving out of Saxe, Texas. Well, as I just glanced over and read those notes that I have of Mike Jones, seems to me that he just put a few more inches between himself and Scott Falcone. There they are from our depth cam. Juan Font still third. Johanna Zolinto, Juan Font is shown for. Well, my screen at the moment is showing me a 1, 2, 4 and 5, which means I've lost a third place driver. And according to my reckoning, that third place driver, well, let's just stay at the moment with the front two, because Mike Jones was putting pressure, was feeling the pressure from Scott Falcone. I'm absolutely certain that Juan Font is in third place, but the screen is denying me, saying he's in 9th place. Well, I'm going to have a peep out of the commentary box window. This is Mike Jones that I'm seeing, pursued by Scott Falcone. Well, I'm not convinced that that's not who we thought, but the screen just having me believe that Juan Font has gone off the face of the earth. Now we're showing Ariel Castro in third. 379 is Ariel Castro. So the screen telling us that Ariel Castro had gone last was a complete misfire. And to Ariel Castro fans, you watching live will know perfectly well that he never did drop to 9th and last. He's in third place and there he is in shot now and putting pressure on these two. Mike Jones leads narrowly from Scott Falcone. Scott Falcone from very nearby at Lone Tree, Colorado. A little bit of a gap then to our third place driver Ariel Castro. Juan Font in 4th place. These are the pairing at 1 and 2, having the closest dice in the race, so I'm sure our television producer will stay with this dice. We're only on lap 4, so there's a long way to go in this DD2 Masters final. And Scott Falcone beginning to just reel in a little closer to Mike Jones once again. He's done this before, then fell back a little bit without having to make the challenge on Mike Jones. That most distinctive race suit of Mike Jones, and when you read on the back Sodi, the Sodi kart, which, as I've said several times before, very prevalent in France, not very frequently seen in many other countries, including the immediate neighbours of France. Well, Mike Jones is driving one, and he's driving it in the lead of the Masters final in DD2. Well, Mike Jones definitely stretching the lead a little bit as we complete lap 4 and go into lap 5. And yet moments ago, it did seem that Scott Falcone was really closing in. It happens again now, doesn't it? Scott Falcone coming down the hill, down the inclines, down the descents, definitely has an advantage on the climbs up the hill. Mike Jones just getting a little bit more of a bite. Well, Scott Falcone is about 3 kart lengths behind. As I look out of the window, I look back to the screen. Looks more like 2 kart lengths on the screen. I look back out the window and it is 2 kart lengths. So our television pictures are not distorting or foreshortening, they are telling the truth. Coming back to complete another lap. This is lap 6 completed and lap 7 being started. So heading towards the 1/3 race distance as Mike Jones again holds off the challenge of the battling Scott Falcone. Scott Falcone drives an Arrow chassis kart, driving for the Kart Sport team. Mike Jones drives for AM Engines. He's out of Saxe, Texas. So, Texas versus Colorado here on lap 7. Coming up to complete lap 7 and start lap 8 as they go under the Red Bull gantry. The Red Bull arch. Ariel Castro 3rd, Juan Font 4th, Enrico Friso 5th. Kart number 379 that you see in shot there is Ariel Castro in 3rd place, pursued by Juan Font, the Venezuelan, in kart 355. Juan Font not really close enough to make a serious impression upon Ariel Castro. The quickest time by Juan Font is 55.21. Ariel Castro's done a 55.32, so Juan Font is actually going a little bit quicker. But the 2 guys in front, Scott Falcone and Mike Jones, are in the 54s. Scott Falcone posting the quicker time, 54.7, against Mike Jones' 54.9. But Mike Jones fairly consistent in those 54.9s. Into lap 9. At the top of the Continental Shelf. Dropping down now, Ariel Castro now under pressure from Juan Font, and Ariel Castro just moves over as if to say, hey, Juan, why not just drive through? Now, has Ariel Castro got a problem? I don't know if we're going to be able to have a rerun of that passing move, but it was absolutely conceded tamely by Ariel Castro, such that you would feel that he'd got an issue. Really didn't look, and already Juan Font is pulling away. This is the 3rd place driver you're looking at, having gone past the previous 3rd place driver, Ariel Castro. Well, I would feel sorry for Ariel if he's got an issue with the kart. It's not a good time to have a problem with your kart when you're in the final of a race and you're in a podium position. But a very, very unusual piece of passing. However, it now appears that Ariel Castro has regained the power that he was maybe missing and is very much hunting down Juan Font. Kart number 355 got a lead of about 4 kart lengths. This is the 3rd place driver leading the 4th. Mike Jones, incidentally, increases his lead over Scott Falcone significantly now. And Mike Jones in kart number 304, the AM Engines team man, and driving off the circuit there is 379. Confirmation then that Ariel Castro does have an issue, and Ariel Castro, from a 3rd place podium position in the final, has driven himself off the circuit and into pit lane, knowing that he cannot complete the race. Tremendous disappointment for Ariel Castro. Very, very unfortunate, very unlucky. Well, that takes a little bit off us because the scrap between Ariel Castro and Juan Font was a good one. In front of them, Mike Jones and Scott Falcone were having a good scrap, but that's rather thinned out a little bit now. And as I move away from my Kart Racing Network screen and look out of the window, I have to say that these drivers are very, very well spread across the track, and it's hard to know where we can bring some really close racing for you. Let me just tell you how they run. At the start of lap 12, Mike Jones had a lead of 7/10 of a second over Scott Falcone. I would suggest that that's been increased, although Scott Falcone, as I speak, is getting into the part of the circuit that suits him best. Juan Font third, Enrico Friso fourth, Johannes Olinto fifth. So 3 Venezuelans in third, fourth and fifth. Jim Carey running sixth, David Zalengo running seventh, and sadly we've lost Ariel Castro at the end of lap 10. Only making the half distance, Ariel, and when the problems came, he was in a podium position in third place. Coming round now to start lap 12, Mike Jones has a lead of 0.9 of a second over Scott Falcone. There is Scott Falcone coming into view. There is Mike Jones, clear of the chasing Lone Tree Colorado driver. Mike Jones with that white helmet and salmon pink Sodicart racing suit. Mike Jones, who had a very good Grand Nationals at Michiana Raceway Park, South Bend. My considerable privilege to have been there as well just last month in August. Third place driver Juan Font is 6 seconds adrift in third place, so I don't think he's going to be in a position to make any kind of challenge. Again, I just look out the window to look at the geography. Scott Falcone's about 30 yards behind Mike Jones. Ooh, it's a long, long way to the third place Venezuelan Juan Font. Enrico Friso, Johannes Olinto. Just briefly seeing to the left, Scott Falcone coming into shot there. I'd put it at 30 yards between them. And I would think it is pretty much that. 1 second between them at the end of the previous lap. And it's hard to see that that's going to be diminished at the end of this one. Dropping down into the basin, the lowest part of the circuit, coming past our commentary point in that white trailer that you saw. Moving out onto lap 15, Mike Jones increases his lead to 1.386 seconds. Juan Font only, now let me see, another 7 seconds down on Scott Falcone. One of the drivers going through there, I think it may have been Enrico Friso, looked as if he might have had a loose number. If we can look for that, it might be something worth having a look to see if it was potentially likely to fall off. Let me keep my eye open for you. When they come round on the next occasion, at the moment there's Scott Falcone, perfectly satisfactory mechanically for his machine, but a little bit of an issue elsewhere, and I think that that loose number is for the driver in fourth place, which would make it Enrico Friso in Kart 398. Now, I don't know exactly how your rules work here in North America, but in England, we're really quite harsh. There is the number. It's Kart 398 in fourth place. That number plate at the back of the kart in that position could be deemed by a race director in England to be dangerous, in the sense that it can come off and fly into the face of somebody following. Now, a race director might say, yes, that could happen, but he's so far in front of everybody else, we won't fetch him in. Quite how you run those issues here in the United States, I don't know, but in mainland Europe, it would have been an even harsher situation. Mike Jones just out of there, he is coming into shot again now. This is the start of lap 18, and he's got 1.3 seconds over Scott Falcone in second place. So again, the same things that I said about this stage of the race for Colin Daly, I will say for Mike Jones, it's his race to lose from here. By which I mean, unless he does something silly, or unless a mechanical defect visits him. I don't think any of the drivers on circuit, led by Scott Falcone in second place, can reel him in from here. This is lap 18. So at the end of this lap, we shall have just 2 to go. Scott Falcone, 1.345 or 1.354 of a second adrift. Well, Mike Jones feels the need twice on that lap to just have a glance over his shoulder. I guess it's the sensible thing to do. There's nobody near him. It's not going to create a difficulty or a problem or an issue. You see Scott Falcone in shot there. There he is. And you could say that he's potentially getting a little bit closer to Mike Jones. But you have to see that in relative terms, which are, this is lap 19 of a 20-lap race. And for Scott Falcone to reel in Mike Jones from here, in my humble opinion, requires some sort of a mechanical problem to visit Mike Jones, and we wouldn't wish that on him, certainly not in a championship race. So, dropping down into the basin for the 19th time and coming up underneath the Red Bull gantry, he sees the white flag, which means 1 to go, 1 to go. Mike Jones, Scott Falcone, you just saw coming into view behind him. The margin still 1.3 seconds. Well, you know that I'm touchy about saying it's won and all over, but very hard to see Mike Jones lose it from here under no kind of pressure. You saw him just look away at an official there. Concentration solid. Moving round leftwards onto the ledge, dropping down for the final time to the low part of the circuit. Mike Jones is going to win this one. Turns left, sees the checkered flag, and Mike Jones, is he happy or is he happy? Well, how about that? Mike Jones, I think he's happy. I've seen Mike Jones take a checkered flag and then lose the race on a technical issue. He's not going to lose this one, I don't think. He's certainly taken the checkered flag in front of Scott Falcone second, Juan Font of Venezuela making the podium in third place, Enrico Friso fourth, Johannes Olinto fifth, Jim Carey sixth, David Zalengo seventh, and we lost Ariel Castro in a podium position in third place at the half race distance.